Hi, my name is Phadra Foster, and I am president of the Montgomery County Council PTA here in Montgomery, Alabama. I have 2 children, and I am excited to talk to you all today about what it takes to take your high school PTSA to the next level. A high school PTA is just as important as a PTA for younger groups. In fact, it's a little bit more important in terms of parents being able to get to know one another and network with one another. When you are doing an elementary school PTA, you're focused on the fundraising and the support for smaller children. But when your children are in high school, they're becoming more independent. They are getting in one another's cars and going to different social activities. Advocacy, of course, begins with advocating for your own child, and that's how most people come to the PTA. As they become more independent, yes, you want to be able to network with other parents, but also you have that institutional knowledge of what's gone on in the school system in prior years. And so you have a better sense of what you need to be advocating for at that level, and you have that time and space to advocate. So I would highly encourage that every high school PTA have and middle school, and of course elementary school, but a high school PTA definitely should have a VP of advocacy, because this is a time for parents to become really involved in the process and try to improve things based on what they've already seen. I encourage PTAs to invite their the school board leader that leads their particular or represents their particular school. This is the best way to get used to speaking to elected officials. People become comfortable advocating about their own school, and then the school system and the community in general. You can invite legislators, and that becomes an easy way to ease people into doing advocacy days at your state house. And then, of course, there's always our LegCon for our national PTA, which I enjoyed participating in. I got to speak to our junior senator the very first time that I participated in it, and take some of the national perspectives and really apply them to my home state. It's important to remember that your programming and your advocacy go hand in hand. Advocacy begins with your own child, and so you want to gauge what the parents at your particular school are interested in. What are some of the goals of your students, and that will lead you to some of your programming choices, and that will also show you where you need to advocate. We found that parents with 504 plans and IEP plans were having to navigate a whole new stage of life. The accommodations at that stage are different from what they were earlier. And so one of the things that we did was we invited the Alabama Disabilities Advocacy Project here to come and speak to parents. And it was really good because they brought the manual that kind of explained the process. It gave examples of letters that you would need to send, what to expect, the difference between 504s and IEPs, and then sometimes students don't need those until they get to high school. And so bringing in someone who could provide that kind of information that parents needed so that they then could better advocate for their own child was a really important thing for us to do. I would encourage PTAs to look at the schedule on the National PTA website in terms of months. It's important for us to celebrate all the people at our schools. One of the things that caused us to organize our PTA was that we wanted to have a more welcoming environment. And they say diversity is having a seat at the table, inclusion is having a voice, and belonging is having that voice be heard. And diversity is not something you have to do, it just is. We are diverse, and we know that people are in a space. We want everyone to feel welcome. We want them to feel like they belong. The PTA emphasizes that. We've seen students come forth and speak before the school board. I work with a culture and climate committee that's a subcommittee for our school district, and we are now starting a student division of it based on the student who came forth, and she advocated about the anxiety that she saw students feeling in the district. They can tell you when there are mental health issues. We are all talking about it, but they're talking about it too, and they can articulate it from their own experience. I also like the idea of including students in your high school PTSA when you are bringing in elected officials. I think nothing prepares students better for the future than including them in that process. We always say that more is caught than taught. So having them there while you're advocating to elected officials and including them in that process is helping them prepare them to be leaders in the future. The PTA should be a place for parents to network in terms of advocacy for their own children or getting to know the other families, but also it is a place where you can tap into this well of knowledge and partnerships. And so that's one of the best reasons to get to know everybody else in your PTA, because you never know what resources are right at your fingertips. One of the things that I think we need to always remember when we are running our PTA is that you have to do capacity building. You don't want to always go to the same people. Those may be people you've known forever and you can rely on. But if you don't get to know other people, then you don't know who else is out there that you can depend on and that you can rely on, and what resources they may have. You could have somebody that is an expert grant writer. You can have someone who is the chair of the social work department at your local university. You don't know who's there until you get to know who's there. But it is really important to remember that most PTAs, if they're going to fail, it'll be within the first 5 years of their establishment. And so you want to constantly get to know the new families coming in, especially the parents of those in the younger grades, and sometimes even partnering up with people in middle school so that people are constantly learning the process, and you're not having to look around when it's time to elect officers, because people feel welcome, they feel comfortable, they know just about how much work a position requires, and they know that there's going to be support to help them through it.